What's up? How's it going? Somebody told me the frame rate's gonna be really weird because of the refresh rate of the light I have over here. So that's just gonna have to be the way it is. I mean, I really need a lot of light. I could turn on an extra light over here, but let's go over some drawing tips real fast. I want to go over something I think is really important. It's something that I think is incredibly important, and it is talking about pockets of dark. There you go. Looks a little better. It's going to be pockets of dark really fast. And so what I want to talk about really fast is this kind of stuff. I know I've called it I didn't call it this, but there's ambient occlusion, which is, I think, really important. And I've talked about this before on little videos, but I kind of want to talk a little bit more about it, about why it can upgrade every drawing you have. So really, ambient occlusion is really kind of, I think it's like the darkest dark. It's dark where light cannot reach. So little cracks right here. And that's pretty much, the way I understand ambient occlusion. And the way you can add it into drawings is normally what you do is you're normally adding in those little cracks of dark as punctuation marks. And then you put normal shadow over it. But what I notice is that the way some people use it is you can kind of just use that dark little shadow right there, like little shadow, and just leave it right there without other shadow around it, and it gives you a really punchy look to your drawings. And that's kind of the way I use it personally. So where would it be, right? A lot of this again is decision making, almost always in the armpit area, right? If you're drawing like anything humanoid, in that armpit area, always going to be ambient occlusion. I think when you want to drive focus, right? And kind of a lot of artists don't do this. When you want to drive focus, is you want to do it in the face, right? Anything humanoid, you want to draw it in the face. So right here, I have it on the eyes. And I could kind of even do it a little bit more around the eyes right here in order to get an effect that I want. Basically, if I want to do this, I can just keep putting it a little bit more on the eyes, and then the viewer is going to naturally start looking at the eyes first-ish for the most part, or at least that'd be one of the main areas of focus. Because when you're talking to anybody, right, you want to create focus around the face. That's pretty much where we naturally look at. We look at people's faces. So even when it comes to monsters and drawings and anything of that sort, we're almost always focusing on the face area in general. So that's, I think incredibly important. You can kind of put it around here as well. Focus on the furrows of the eyes right there. Again, creating a little bit of an effect, a little bit of a look right there. Right on. Right here. And at this point, it's, a decision thing, right? You're kind of like, okay, where am I going to put this? Where do I want to direct my viewer? And that's why I kind of always say this is a lot of this stuff is going to be, oh, okay, well, it's going to be up to the artist's decision, right? It's going to be up to you where you put this. Every artist is probably going to choose something a little different. It's going to pull lines a little bit, odd or in their own style. That's kind of where style comes in, is when you're doing stuff like this, right? You're kind of the style is like the icing on the birthday cake, right? The structure, though, is going to be pretty close. It's going to be pretty close. The structure, as far as what's actually, built, stuff like that. If you're talking about if you're both looking at the same thing, it's going to be pretty close. Style is more again, thickness of line, where you place dark areas, secondary dark areas, right? And where your, little crevices like this, where even though we're both making a wrinkly kind of wrinkly monster face, we're going to be thinking where does this go, right? That's going to be up to the artist itself. And that's kind of the stuff that you're going to choose one way or the other. So let me see. I'm looking at the darks right here. Boom, boom. I could add more over here. I could add a little bit more shadow pattern to certain areas as well. So maybe if I want more focus around the teeth, maybe around the teeth right here, I can do that, right? I did one right there. But now it's a little bit of a floating island, and I've talked about this before. Maybe I'll add a little bit more right here, a little bit more right there, and a little bit more right here, so that the shadow pattern makes sense, right? Because when you're drawing shadow patterns in general, you are trying to create like harmony, right? You're trying to harmonize the whole thing, because if you don't harmonize it, it might look like it's out of a different drawing. And I can give you an example of that right now. So this arm right here, to me, and actually a lot of this stuff right here, feels a little bit out of a different drawing. If I look at this, there's not as much dark as over here, you know, with good reason, but I think I'm gonna add some right here. I think it needs a little bit more. So I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna add these little nuanced lines. And here's another question I get all the time. How do you add these little lines? How do you know how many to add and to, you know, what direction to add them? As far as direction to add these guys, you think of this as an object like this, and I'm thinking of like, what is the 3D like features of this arm, right? I know what my arm looks like. I know what other people's arms look like. It's almost always like a tube, right? It's a round shape. If I was to draw like solid lines around this, it would be literally like a solid shape, right? So I'm thinking of that solid shape, and I already know the direction it's going to go in, but I don't pull that full line around it. I just pull like these little, you know, flicks of lines, because the viewer is going to probably fill that in with their mentally. The viewer is going to look at this and go, oh, okay, that's like a pretty roundish shape right there. If I throw these little thin lines right there, that's going to be like the viewer is going to go, oh yeah, that's cool. Like that's pretty much the way, you know, that's pretty much where, and then I pick how many lines I want to pull or not pull, right? I pulled a lot of lines there. I might even pull too many lines, but it, you know, again, the cool part about drawing something that is more monster based is you can kind of go wild with it as well. Like I can go wild with these certain parts of the drawing, and I don't really have to explain, you know, because you just go, oh no, it's a monster, right? Like, oh, you know, like it's fine, you know, you know, it's monstery, right? It's kind of cool to do that. Where if this was like, you know, like a pinup or something like that, then it's not the same way. If this is like a pinup, then you're like, oh man, you don't want to put too much information in like a pinup. Pinup meaning like an attractive girl. You don't want to do that too much, because sometimes when you draw too many lines, it could make it look a little bit older and like ruggeder, and you don't really want that for like a pinup, right? You want that for like a monster design, so you can go wild with it. Plus, a monster is probably going to have textured skin, maybe, depending on what kind of monster it is. Where, like, you know, again, a pinup model, like a woman, or even just like a regular man, is probably not going to have all that stuff. I mean, he'd have to be like a really rugged, like character, one of those grizzled veterans or something like that, to really have that much kind of going on. So let's just say, okay, I put some dark there. And then over here, I think it needs a little bit of dark as well. I don't want to overdo it, because, again, I want the focus to be on this guy. But I'm going to put a little bit more dark right here, just to kind of make the whole thing a little bit more balanced out. Alrighty, right there. And it's cool to kind of check yourself as you're drawing, but I'm seeing this problem a lot, and I'm talking to a lot of you guys. And something I hear a lot of is, hey, I'm drawing and I just can't get it. And sometimes I heard, and let me know if you have this problem. Somebody told me this and I kept hearing it. Sometimes I don't start a drawing because it's just going to be bad anyway. Like, why even start it? You know, like why even go through the process of, you know, trying to make it good, because I know it's just going to be bad. I don't know if anybody has ever had that problem before. I used to have that problem a long time ago. I don't know if anyone's had that. Let me know. But yeah, so when you're drawing, when you're doing any of this stuff, or you're doing the pockets of dark or anything like that, you're going to go through this phase, and it kind of never ends, actually. It depends with everything hard, right? So this happens with me right now when I'm painting, right? When I'm painting with color, because my color is okay, but like it could be better. So sometimes I'll start a painting and I'll think the same thing. I'm like, why try so hard and then have it fail on me, right? The truth is, and you guys have probably heard this a gazillion times, so I'll spare you. The truth is, you you're going to have to, you know, like this is a really common thing, you know, you might roll your eyes at this, but you're going to have to break a lot of eggs, right? You're going to have to fail over and over again before you get it correct, right? It's the cool part is you don't have to fail as much now because we have the internet, we have instruction, we have people that already, you know, you see demos like this, right? I'm on live with you right here, just kind of going over stuff. You know, you have people to help you out now, where back in the day, like maybe the 90s, you know, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have stuff like that. But yeah, you're going to have to go through and try super hard. And yeah, possible, you probably most likely, in fact, probably 100%, the first few times you're going to mess up. Maybe the first many times. It just depends. And that's just part of it, right? Part of it is, let's just say in the beginning you do 10 drawings. Yeah, maybe all 10 drawings will be like, okay, you know, it could be bad or whatever. Wait, at the beginning it'll be bad. And then you do maybe like 10 more in the future. And then you're like, okay, one of those is pretty good, right? 1 out of the 9. And then you do it again and you're like, okay, 5 of these are pretty good, right? And then it's just this thing where you never like, you just stay with this, what do you call it? You just stay with the process. You don't take it, what do you say? You don't take it personal when you mess up. And when you don't take it personal, then, you know, you become really powerful because you're kind of like, okay, I'm like, it's just part of the process. Oh, I messed up. Okay, next one. I'll do it on the next one. All right. Okay, now I know what to do on the next one, right? That's pretty much been the process of, you know, of all drawing. But anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to go over really. Just to go back to the lesson real fast. See how I added a dark here? That kind of pulls in everything. And I was thinking of somebody like Greg Capullo. He did the Spawn comics. He does this sort of thing really well. And that's kind of almost who I'm trying to, well, am I trying to emulate him? Kind of. When you put a dark right here and right here, you're kind of like creating this little map of like what direction to go to, right? I'm saying go to the face. Go to the face, and it's going to be easier, you know? I started reading some stuff by Juji Ito. Juji Ito? Is that what it is? I didn't read a lot of his stuff before. So, I mean, I saw that imagery everywhere. It's really cool. And that's kind of what I was thinking about when I was doing this character. I'm thinking of like evil Japanese spirit. That's kind of what I'm thinking of. I'm also watching Dandadan, right? Dandadan has stuff like this, especially like this. I think that was more of a direct, you know, inspiration for this. But I keep putting these pockets of dark everywhere, right? And I keep balancing them out. Like what looks right to me? Like, okay, I see a pocket of dark. But you know what's missing? I think one over here somewhere. I don't know where. And that'll maybe unify it. So let me throw a little. And this is more just a shadow as opposed to an ambient. It's not ambient occlusion. It's just a shadow right here. And maybe something like here. And you start seeing these little pop, 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 pop. Okay, well, that's pretty much it. That was my live for today. I mean, I'll probably go live a lot longer later, but thank you so much. And go check out the cool stuff in the, go pick up a sketchbook, by the way. I put a sketchbook full of sketches of mine. It's a physical book. You can pick it up to support. And yeah, take a look at the links in the bio. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.